We all know that AI is changing marketing. Yawn. That's boring, right? We all know that, or else we wouldn't have a packed crowd here at a tech conference to talk about marketing concepts. And we've seen this before, right? When we think about radio, television, digital, mobile, these all drove massive changes to marketing. So we've seen this before, or have we? I want to talk about one little discussed difference between those marketing changes and what we're seeing today with AI. These technologies drove changes to the way that we consume marketing. But AI, on the other hand, is a revolution in how we create marketing. It's supply side. And when we talk about creating marketing, a lot of folks' minds immediately go to creative and content, and that's a part of it. But when I was trained as a marketer, we thought about the whole marketing lifecycle, looking at your data and deriving insights, deciding what KPIs you're trying to drive, what goals you're trying to drive with the campaign. Writing a creative brief, right? And thinking about your targeting audience within that brief. Who are you going to speak to? What channels will you speak to them on? How are you going to orchestrate a cross-channel journey to actually drive a meaningful conversation? And then, of course, how we're going to measure and optimize the campaign. And AI is actually accelerating, augmenting, or even automating each step of that marketing lifecycle. And when we think about the improvements to the quality of the assets that are created by AI, you've seen the exponential charts against every benchmark, right? The quality of the assets keep getting better and better and better and better. And as the quality gets better, what we're seeing on the cost side, if you hold the unit intelligence per token of each of these models constant, the costs are decreasing 10x per year. So when we have quality of the assets going up exponentially, we have costs decreasing exponentially. What does that mean? That means commoditization of these AI capabilities, not only for your organization, but for your competitors as well. So when we think about this massive supply of marketing that's entering the market, what will your differentiator be? What will be your edge? And your data will be that differentiator. What do I mean by that? So instead of thinking about marketing from a jobs to be done perspective in the marketing lifecycle, let's back up and think about first principles for a second. What we're really talking about is having a conversation with your customers or prospects to try to encourage them to take some action that will be valuable both for your organization and for them, right? And if I were to go and talk to an old friend and grab a coffee with them, let's use an analogy for a second. Would I plug into Gemini, what should I say to this person? No, I would get back a very generic answer because Gemini doesn't have the entire history of my relationship with that person. The same holds true for your marketing and your organization. When we think about your organization and things that it has that your competitors do not have, your unique history with that customer, all the engagements you've had with them, every transaction that's occurred with that customer, these are all things that you should be infusing into your marketing to have a better conversation and a better outcome with your customers. So your data will drive your growth and especially your differentiation between yourselves and your competition. And when we talk about growth, I want to talk about a very specific type of growth called compound growth. I'm sure everyone in the audience is familiar with the concept of compound interest. Yeah? Some head nods out there? Yeah? Great. So when we think about the ability to compound over time, there's two main inputs to the way that curve ends up looking as you compound, right? The first is the size of the improvement or the size of the step. And we talked about using AI and data to actually have better quality and improve the actual optimization that we have from the experiments that we're putting in the market. The second factor is equally important, and that's how fast you can actually iterate. And what does your iteration cycle time look like? How many shots on goal can you get in a year? And I think this chart does a really good job of visualizing what the difference can look like. If we look at the bottom curve here, this blue line, and I call it a line because it is almost linear at this point, this is a 1% improvement per quarter. Now take that and say, what could we do if we had a 2% improvement per week? Much faster iteration cycle, slightly different improvement step. That's the green curve. So when you think about the difference in actually driving small incremental growth over a year versus driving continuously compounding growth with fast iteration cycles, it is a massive difference from your organization. So what's holding you back between where you are today and this type of an outcome in your organization? Well, it's certainly not support from the top and lack of support from the top. When we think about what CFOs and CEOs are looking for, research tells us that they're all looking for top line growth. Who's been asked, how are you driving revenue out there, right? That's a question everybody gets. The second thing they're looking for is efficiency, right? And this actually plays really nicely into that iteration cycle time, right? Is how are you actually doing more with less? How are you making your teams more efficient at what they're doing today? And the third, of course, is it went from a hype question to now, okay, let's make it real questions. What are we doing with AI? How is AI actually driving growth for our business? So if you want compounding growth, top down, we have the support. What's really our barrier here? Well, for many of the customers that I've worked with over the years, and for myself as a marketer, it comes down to one simple thing. And it is the lack of automation in this marketing cycle. Manual processes, siloed teams, siloed data, right? Not actually being able to take more shots on goal quickly. And maybe you have all of these gaps, but maybe you only have one of them, or two of them, or three of them, right? And when we think about some of those jobs to be done earlier in marketing, deriving the insight, right? You may have dashboards, you may have analytics, but typically there's going to be some manual data pulls where you want to go deeper, and that takes time. I'm going to spend a little bit of time here on the manual audience selection piece, because this one gets extremely painful with customers when we meet them there. And maybe some of the folks in the room have felt this pain too. When we're building an audience for a lifecycle campaign, for example, say we want to do a churn prevention or a cross-sell campaign, the marketer starts with this concept of who they want to target. And in a lot of the organizations we work with, when they start, that involves a marketer writing a JIRA ticket to describe the audience. And hey, I want to target customers who have purchased some product in this category, in this time period, maybe in this geography. They're part of this segment that we use from our top-down segmentation. They write that ticket, they throw it over the fence to the data team. Anyone on the data team ever caught a ticket like that? Typically, you're not the happiest camper in the world when you get that ticket. For a few reasons. One, it may not be spec'd super well. It's not referring to table names and column names and field values and all these things. It's in fairly generic language. The second is everything was due yesterday, right? The urgency around these is typically through the roof because campaigns we want to get launched really quickly. So you do your best, you write some SQL, you produce the audience, you throw it back over the fence to the marketer. Marketers, you're not happy when you catch it because it doesn't have enough target audience in it, right? There's not enough people. Maybe it's not enough revenue touch, so you can't actually move the needle with the audience. Or this isn't what I was looking for at all. You throw it back over the fence. We've seen that iteration cycle alone take 6 weeks, 7 weeks, 8 weeks, a quarter. We've seen customers who actually took a full quarter to get one campaign launched when we first started working with them. Then when we get to omni-channel, multiple channels, and actually orchestrating that same audience across multiple different modalities, whether it's ad platforms or email platforms or your CRM systems, either there's a hero somewhere writing a one-off script to make this all work with very complex steps and rules, and none of it's reusable, or you just give up and you say, okay, we're going to have email drips and we're going to have an email journey, but our ad platform and our ad strategy is going to be different, our CRM is going to be different. So that's another pain point that takes a lot of time in this cycle. Then within each of the platforms, you have people pressing buttons, deciding at what time the campaigns are going to go live, what the budgets look like in the ad platforms, what templates we're going to use in the email platforms. It's another step that adds a lot of time. And then, of course, the results analysis. When I was a marketer, every quarter we pulled the data, we threw it over the fence to Nielsen. There was one guy who worked in the basement with a bunch of racks of servers to fit a regression model. And then he said, here's your MMM analysis once per quarter. If you agreed with the results, you were your guy's best friend. And if you didn't, you said it's a black box and nobody trusts it, right? But the time every quarter leads to very slow iteration cycles. And these take months or even quarters to get these campaigns live. So CDPs and marketing clouds were supposed to fix this problem, but they didn't. So enter GrowthLoop. So what GrowthLoop does is it applies a system of AI agents directly to your data cloud. And what this does is it accelerates every step of this marketing lifecycle. It learns from your data, it predicts the best audiences, it predicts the best journeys, it gets approval from you and your teams, and it runs the cross-channel campaigns. The engagement data feeds back into your single source of truth in your data cloud, and the cycle continues. This takes those processes that took months, quarters, reduces them down to weeks, days, or even proactive suggestions for some of our customers. And the benefit is rapidly compounding growth. So our typical customer will see a 3 to 5x increase in their velocity for getting these campaigns launched. I've stood on stage with one of our largest customers. We've got a 10x increase, and they're proud to say that out there in the market. When we think about revenue lift, we set up each audience with control groups, right? So incremental revenue lift on the audiences of 20 to 30%, driving that top line growth. Again, going back to what your C-suite cares about. And then 20 to 30% cost reductions versus similar solutions like CDPs who only do a part of what GrowthLoop does. So how does it work? So it puts Agentic AI on your data cloud. Again, everything that we do is query in place from an architecture standpoint. You have full ownership of your business intelligence. The second is it executes the campaigns across all your channels. So it actually can get these campaigns live in the channels where your teams are working today. And third, the performance data closes the loop to make each prediction better. So why does it work, and why do those things help? So what makes a compound marketing engine? So one, operating within your data cloud. What that means is setup time is provisioning a service account that has access to the tables that you want it to have access to, and they're live within GrowthLoop within minutes. It means it has access to as much data as you want to give it access to. When we talk about data as your differentiator, actually building it on top of your single source of truth means that you have much better assets that you're generating with your AI. The second is it operates across all of your channels. So your teams, especially at large enterprises, there's a lot of inertia. You have experts in these tools. You have experts in your email platform, experts in your ad platforms. We want to make sure that things that we're generating are meeting your teams where they work today. And the third is it's powered by Agentic AI. So these agents work together under a supervisor agent to actually drive the outcomes that your teams want to drive. And it's not just a trust me, put it in the black box and we'll go type system. You can set bounds for what the agents can do. You can give them guidance, or you can operate each of these assets manually through UI. Your marketers can self-serve to actually build audiences, journeys, and activate them so that you can build trust within your organization over time before allowing the automation to do most of the decisioning. And our customers are seeing phenomenal results. Allegro, who's often referred to as the Amazon of Eastern Europe, massive company, saw 2x ROAS increases within the first 2 months of launching GrowthLoop. Their GMV increased by 60%. They saw 4x click-through rates, and their CPCs decreased by 70%. So again, we're driving top-line growth with them. We're driving efficiency and cost efficiencies to drive EBITDA and cash flow for them as well. Albertsons, one of our newer customers, they're already seeing that what used to happen in months is now happening in days. So this is the reality of applying the compound marketing engine to the data cloud to drive faster iteration cycles. And these are the results you could have if you deploy GrowthLoop, the first compound marketing engine on Google Cloud. I'd also like to announce that this year we won Google Cloud Partner of the Year for the data and analytics category, so we're super proud of the team. We're very thankful to our partners at Google Cloud, thankful to our customers who helped build this vision with us, and really thankful and I'm honored to work with the team at GrowthLoop who helped build this all and make it happen. So we invite you to come build the future of data and AI for marketing and how it can impact marketing, and to accelerate your growth with the first compound marketing engine.